Welcome to Two Hypnotherapists Talking with me, Denise Mejia, in Delaware, USA.
And me, Martin Ferber, in Preston, UK.
This weekly podcast is for anyone and everyone who'd like to know more about the fascinating subject of hypnosis and the benefits it offers.
I'm a clinical hypnotherapist and psychotherapist.
I'm a retired medical doctor turned consulting hypnotist.
We are Two Hypnotherapists Talking.
So let's get on with the episode. Martin, let's talk about that article I came across this week.
in the New York Times.
Yes, that one.
You read the posh papers.
No, only occasionally. I used to have a subscription, but it got too expensive with all the other things I do.
Yeah. We always, when you hear of the New York Times over here, it's like when you hear of the Financial Times over there, it's right up there. Yeah, I read the article. I found it really, really interesting, all about hypnosis, therapeutic hypnosis.
I like the fact that it starts not at the beginning, because we know that it's been around for thousands and thousands of years. It's a natural phenomenon, but it goes back to Mesmer and talks about animal magnetism and how it started. And a lot of people think, I've been mesmerized. They don't realize it's actually from somebody's name.
They don't realize it's actually related to a form of hypnosis when they say I've been mesmerized.
Right.
Don't forget, a lot of our audience are not hypnotists, hypnotherapists. So it might be worth us explaining that for a few minutes. What do you think?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, so Franz Mesmer was a German physician. So he was a medical doctor then, wasn't he?
He was indeed, as were many of the early hypnotists. Mm-hmm. But I think that Mesmer, of course, was really influenced by the experiments that were going on with magnets. People were discovering the electromagnet.
That's right.
There were lots of things going on, right? So he thought that he himself had this animal magnetism, and it was up to him, and that's another. Weird that people think that hypnotists are doing something to the client.
Yeah, of course.
And we're not. We're just guiding them into that thing. What I really like it when I've read and listened to other historians talking about him, he was terribly theatrical. The cloak and the pocket watch and the I am the great, not the great Houdini, but that kind of power over.
Yeah,
it would take hours to get people into trance.
That kind of thing seems really strange to me, that a physician would go for the theatric sort of thing.
They didn't have a lot of other tools. Remember, medicine in the 1700s, they knew a lot of stuff. I don't think they knew that they knew it half the time. But there were some really interesting cures. And it was mostly, yes, you have this thing. I'll sit with you while you either recover from it or die. There wasn't a huge amount they could do. And surgery was, you did surgery on people when they had no other choices.
Yeah, because there were no anesthetics.
Well, no anesthetics, and you died from infection most of the time. I mean, it was brutal.
Yeah.
And they didn't have germ theory back then. They thought it was in the air. So there's loads. It's a fascinating subject. The history of medicine in general is fascinating. But
they used to use leeches back then, didn't they?
Yes, and they use them again now because not everything comes around again.
I know.
We got a better explanation of it now.
They use maggots in infected tissue, don't they?
They do, and they use leeches for reducing hematomas when you've had surgery and some other injuries. Wow. Not your average GP, but plastic people do. You don't go into the doctor's office anymore and see these lovely white porcelain things with leeches on the front.
All right, so getting back to Mesmer then, the expression mesmerized comes from Franz Mesmer, but also animal magnetism. I mean, when I hear that expression over here, before I'd sort of done my hypno learning, the expression animal magnetism sort of in the modern day means something more like sex appeal.
Right. It makes you think of Harlequin romance covers.
Yeah, Mills and Boon, that type of thing.
Yeah. So anyway, unfortunately, Mesmer was discredited a little bit by our very own Mr. Benjamin Franklin and some other people. Interestingly enough, Guillotine was on that panel too, which is an interesting name. The physician Guillotine, who invented the guillotine,
Did
he
he?
came to regret it. Yes, he was
So
on
he
the
was
committee.
actually a physician.
Yeah, because he thought it was a more humane way to execute people.
Well, it was quick.
That's it. Yes, exactly. That's an aside from hypnotism, but he was on the panel with Franklin for Louis the whichever one it was that discredited
Mesmer.
the Mesmer's theories. Yes, and it is with everything. It's one of the frustrations now with just about every form of medicine. We have this, oh, this works, and it works for this, and it works for this, and it does the dishes, and it does that, and then it doesn't do one of those things, and everybody says, oh, it's rubbish, then they just throw it away.
Yeah.
And that's basically what happened to hypnotism. But some of the people who have been trained by Mesmer, like James Braid, continued to work in the area. So I think that the article we're talking about says that in 1841, he started using that technique, and he used it on patients with headache to get rid of the pain.
So was he still using the magnets then, or
no,
was it just purely the hypnosis?
Hypnosis. And he was the one that really, although the term had been used before, he was the one that really popularized the use of the word hypnos for the Greek god. And of course, it isn't sleep, but it's so close to the time that you're asleep that it's understandable.
That's right, because he did try and give the whole process a different name. Let me think of it. What he was going to call it, I can't think off the top of my head. Do you know it?
I don't off my head. I just know his book was Hypnosis.
He decided he didn't like the name Hypnosis because of hypnos meaning sleep. He decided that was the wrong description for it. I'm going to have to look this up and stick it in the show notes. Denise is bugging me now. So James Braid, though, so he did it without the magnets, and he did it without the theatrics.
Right, or at least fewer theatrics. And there was a fair amount because they were the great I am doctors back in the day. It's not like my era.
But again, back in that day, they had very few other tools, and I suppose if people wanted to make a name for themselves in medicine or become an authority on something in medicine, then they would. Perhaps have to put themselves out there a bit more. Of course, no television in those days, no modern communications whatsoever.
No Facebook.
No, definitely not. He would, I suppose, looking back, they were very reliant on theatrics and other things to capture the attention. Bearing in mind, back then, most people couldn't read. The general population couldn't read.
The general population often couldn't, So what this article calls back to is the fact that hypnotherapy now can be used for so many things that we didn't realize back then. And of course, there's so many more things that people come to the doctor for they probably just put up with before. Like I can't sleep. I'm not sure people went to the doctor for I can't sleep unless they truly were not sleeping. There is a condition that will allow you no sleep at all and will eventually kill you. It is extremely rare. So what I like about this article is it refers to the fact that hypnosis can't get rid of this reputation of being a joke or just a there's a new TV show. I think it's it's a stage show with I can't remember his name. Oh my goodness, the two of us today. Anyway, he's doing a stage show, which is sort of an improv hypnosis thing that's being very well received. But it still bothers me that often it means that people see it and think it's a joke or think it's staged or just isn't for serious. It's just for amusement.
Yeah, that's it. No disrespect to our sort of stage show cousins. Let's put it that way. Let's be polite and put it that way. But it does prevent people taking things seriously, doesn't it? Or on the other hand, it can build people's expectations up to be unrealistic in what hypnosis can do, what therapy can do.
Right. And of course, the people who are hypnotized on stage fall into a certain category of the way their brains work. So that this kind of hypnosis, I can be hypnotized. You can just say to me, Denise, would you like to be hypnotized? And I say, yes, thank you. Click. Because I want to. But on a stage, I wouldn't go under.
No.
because there's just no way there would be too much going on that I would have to keep, my conscious mind would not be able to let go.
I'd be way too conscious to get on the stage in the first place.
Yeah, well, me too. But if I were forced, but that implies to some people, only those kind of people can be hypnotized, and this isn't true. Almost everybody can be, because almost all of us are, if we do it for ourselves. So certainly a hypnotist can help you get to where you would have gotten anyway. It just might have taken you longer, and you wouldn't know what to do when you were there, except have a nice daydream. It's really therapeutic daydreaming is what we do.
Well, yeah. Anybody. I mean, I know we have said this in previous episodes, but if we've got any new listeners or viewers on at the moment, everybody goes into hypnosis a few times every day anyway, don't they? At least, whether they've got themselves absorbed in a good book, they're totally absorbed. Even scrolling, when you get totally absorbed in it, it's a kind of hypnosis, right? Because you focus on one thing and everything else gets excluded,
right? Yeah, and that's the nice explanation by David Spiegel, who I frequently disagree with. I never meet the man. I don't go in such wonderful circles, but
you could have a lively evening with him, though.
he is a very well respected psychiatrist who researches hypnosis and has used it since he was a kid. His father was a hypnotist and taught at Columbia.
Is that the history? I'm not aware of his history. I'm aware of who he is and what he's well known for.
Yeah,
but I don't know anything about his background.
He, as a psychiatrist, obviously is working with a particular subset of population, and he believes and has stated that 10% of people really easy to hypnotize, 10% can't be hypnotized, and the rest of us fall somewhere in the middle. And when I'm sort of okay with that, but I think more of us can be without difficulty if you in the right circumstances. And I don't know what those circumstances for him would be. I don't know how well I would be hypnotized if I were in a psychiatrist office in a big, busy hospital. I mean, all of these things matter to us, which is, again, why we like using Zoom, because the client's in their own home. They are comfortable where they are.
They are comfortable, yeah.
Yeah.
It's also, I mean, as we've said it before, but earphones, I feel, make a huge difference, because people can really cut out any other interference whatsoever.
Right. Well, they'll hear it.
Whereas when if somebody's face to face in your office or my office, yes, of course, it's a very intimate experience. We're one-to-one, we're facing each other, but they're aware of more than the sound of our voice. So obviously, that isn't there if they're wearing headphones. A
lot of hypnotists in their offices have their clients use headphones. Quite a few of them will speak into a speaker. Yeah, listen, some companies have some very nice equipment, but I know of one hypnotist who's been working for probably 50 years in the business. He will see the client in his office, send them into a private room, have them on headphones, and talk to them from his office, so that they decrease that external influence. So they're less likely to jump out of it because of a sudden sound.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. Gratitude alert. Something has literally just popped up on my screen from Dr. Eugenia, thanking us for being on the podcast and everything. Which
how
great.
Lovely.
Yeah, it's just literally just popped up now. There you go. How's that for live and on the spot?
Right. So if you missed last week's.
yeah. Go and watch it. Cram-packed episode with Eugenia. Who had lots and lots to tell us. Let's get back to this article in the New York Times.
Right. So one of the other things they're talking about sessions online, as we just said, and also it's very interesting to me that David Spiegel, he himself is part of, what's it called? I want to call it Nervia. We'll definitely put that in the show notes. Gosh, my memory today. It's a self-hypnosis app. But he does talk about the fact that those things are really helpful for the generic things like insomnia or stopping smoking, which is general relaxation, which is very nice. As you know, I'm starting a group for people, which will include things like sleep and weight, and group, because it is a lower price point. But obviously the audios that people will get for that have to be more generic. So they may not get the full value. I'm hoping that most of them will have been hypnotized at least once before, so that they'll know how to use it. But you can't use people's names. You can't, Well, you remember the induction I used using cats, kittens.
I love that induction. I love that induction.
But I can't use that on any of my tapes because who knows how many people don't like cats. Or there's so many little nuances that you have to make everything very bland to appeal to a wide audience.
Yeah, somebody could just be drifting off, and then you start mentioning cats, and you might just terrify the life out of them.
I even thought about when I was designing my website. I was thinking, well, I could put that nice. I've got a lovely shot from one of the botanical gardens near me, just flowers and bees and butterflies. I'm thinking I could put that. Oh no, there might be somebody that's got a phobia about bees. Maybe they don't like yellow flowers either. Who knows?
When it comes to bees, somebody may have good cause to have a phobia about them. We all know what can happen with a bee sting with somebody who's allergic. Do you know, I've just had the most silly thought pop in my head. I wonder if anybody's ever been treated, the opposite thing. I wonder if anybody's ever been treated for narcolepsy with hypnotherapy, because that would be a bit of a strange thing, because you've got to relax them in the first place. Well, they probably fall asleep.
Well, people with narcolepsy will fall asleep mid-sentence.
Anytime,
or walking. I
wonder if it's ever been done. It's a serious question. I'm just wondering if it's ever been done.
Well, I don't know if they would have had a large enough group to have written it up. Hypnotherapy for narcolepsy. Yes, there's an abstract in somebody Francis, I don't know who he is. Effective use for hypnotherapy for control of narcoleptic sleep episodes experienced by a 40-year-old woman is described.
Wow.
Measures include post-hypnotic suggestions for deliberate and automatic hand movements by the patient, serving as signals to ward off sleep attacks. Such signals with visual imagery were also incorporated into treatment. Excellent. What a nice thought you had. Now we can throw that into our list of things we can handle.
Yeah, it just occurred to me. I thought, I wonder if it would work for the opposite thing, but yeah, I mean, because it'll work for so many things. The thing in that article in the New York Times that really stood out to me was I don't remember the name of the doctor because
we've agreed today we don't have memory.
Yeah, I have no memory today. But it was a really interesting case of a female patient who had, I think it was 3 slip discs or something like that. And she had had various talking therapies and powerful medication over the years, with some good results. But hypnotherapy took her to a level of pain management that none of those things with the medication had done. And I'm just wondering, because obviously you've got the medical background, I haven't, but I'm thinking slip discs, sore back. Could it be the actual process of her getting to such a state of relaxation with hypnosis that no other kind of talking would have done to her? Yes,
I usually when people talk to you, try not to go to sleep, don't you?
Yeah. Well, yeah, true. Most of the time anyway.
The New York Times is behind a paywall. So you can only read, I think, 3 articles a month or some minor number. But we'll put the link in the show notes because it is definitely worth reading the article. It's very useful.
It is, I think.
Oh, yes, I've got it. It's a 32-year-old with chronic back pain, having herniated 3 discs. And her mental distress from, she got so anxious about it too. That was why she's in talk therapy. Didn't really do very much. So that's, and she also was using remote hypnosis. So she was Zooming as well.
That was the other thing. Yeah. And again, it's, I'm just wondering what it was that obviously, we can never fully explain hypnosis. That's the beauty of it. But the point of that had taken us to a level of pain control that perhaps because I don't know the woman directly, but perhaps even having a hot bath or whatever wouldn't have done for her.
Probably not. And then she had the difficulty of getting out of the bath afterwards, which brought it all back. I do know, I'm looking at this now while we're talking. She describes how the pain faded away and she fell asleep. Have you had that happen with clients? I've had some clients who have been so stressed out and so sleep deprived because of whatever the issue is that they will drift off to sleep. I think we have to do a little calculation. Is it worth waking them up, or is it better just to let them nod off for go through one sleep cycle and I'll send them out the door and reschedule?
Now, I had a client this week who is suffering with anxiety, and this client, as they were just drifting into not a heavy trance, they didn't go very deep, as they were drifting into a nice, pleasant trance, you could literally see the stress coming away from the face. You could see, I mean, as you know, I do progressive relaxation, and I say it and feel the muscles around your eyes relax. And you could literally see it happening as I was, you know, giving the instruction, as it were, or the gentle message. It never ceases to amaze me, this profession, Denise. It really, seriously.
How simple it is. Elegant simplicity. That's what it is.
I like the word elegance, although I'm quite inelegant in myself most of the time. But yeah, it was really, really heartwarming to see this person's face just relax, and you could just see, because I thought they were nodding off to sleep, and they weren't. Because you could see the eyes going under the eyelids and everything. They were paying great attention, paying great attention to what I was saying. But they were obviously in a state of very, very intense relaxation, far more than I expected them to go to at that point, because we'd literally only been going on about a minute and a half.
Oh, really? So that was had that person been hypnotized before?
No. Yeah, getting back to that one. So 3 slip discs, that would be painful.
I would imagine it is. I haven't, knock on wood, ever slipped any discs, which is
is that kind of thing only ever put right with surgery?
No, sometimes stretching. It depends on how bad it is, but it's not uncommon to need surgery. And 32 is very young to have such an issue. But I like the fact that she points out that she needs to go back to her. She uses recordings of previous sessions, and she uses it frequently, which is something that we also tell our clients to do. I think you send your clients home with an audio. I send one to mine 2 or 3 days after the session, so that they can just practice using this. And actually, after a few sessions, most of my clients have built up a little library of I'm feeling this today. I'll take that one. I'll take this one.
I tend to tailor the audios as the weekly sessions go along, because obviously as things progress, different messages are given. You know, the sessions change. Each session's tailored to the client's requirements, and so do the recordings that I give them. Strangely enough, though, it's like other forms of self-hypnosis. We can all do the thing where you just sort of lie there a little bit and whatever, you drift. But if I really thrust my head forward and go to one side, I can go straight into trance.
That's the years of practice, dear. I like the way this, and it's just because we're going to put this article. If you can't get it this month because you've already used up, just remember to hit first in March 1st. But the tail end, that client, the lady with back pain, says that she feels that now she's got the discipline to calm her body and mind when her pain flares up. And it's not like it works 100% of the time, but the more you do it, the more you get out of it. And that is really the message for all of our clients, that they need to engage in this. And the more they do, the better they'll get at it. And the less they'll need us, because they'll do it for themselves.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing.
And that is the thing. It's repetition, and the mind likes repetition. Not only will anything we do, like tying your shoelaces, the more you repeat it, the easier it becomes, and you can do nice little
neural pathways.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Treading through the jungle, I always use the elephant through the grass metaphor, flattening the grass. The more times you do it, the wider the pathway becomes. But it's the mind also feels secure with repetition. It likes, that's why it can work in the reverse way.
It's the familiar.
Well. The brain does like that, though. I put a funny thing on LinkedIn today. I thought it was funny anyway. I put a picture of one of my little black books and a biro. Other brands are available, and I put underneath, do you want to know what's in my little black book? And then I've just put an explanation underneath, because I thought I'll just make it intriguing, and I put an explanation underneath about journaling, about how it helps soothe the nighttime. Sorry, just throw that in there.
Do you journal in the evening or in the morning?
Nighttime, bedtime. I always go to bed thinking of positive things that have happened.
Yes.
I deliberately put anything negative out of my mind at bedtime. Otherwise, I'm the type that I wouldn't get to sleep. No, that's what I always recommend my clients do. And the more you have to look for it, the better it works, because you've got to delve deep, especially if you had a really yucky day.
You've got to look for a nice thing. Yes.
Yeah, you've got to look for a nice thing, and then you got to look for another one and look for another one, and then you can go to bed.
Otherwise, you're going to be up really late.
Yeah. But no, I don't know why the expression, the little black book, just came into my brain this morning. I took a snapshot of it.
No names and addresses, just thoughts.
No. Well, I'm way too old for that kind of thing. Here's another interesting thing that was in that article as well. Somebody with inflammatory bowel syndrome.
Yes, the thing that nice guidelines agree, but they don't want to pay for it. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So I have a very busy end of the month, as always, because I've got my new program launch. I start my funnel, as the business people say. I'm doing a webinar a week from Monday, to try and allow more people to know about my new program, which is a 12-week. Actually, it'll be 14 weeks. So it'll be a prep week, 12 weeks, and then a sort of graduation. Where do you go from here? Stage on the general well-being things: sleep, food, happiness, relationships, those sorts of things. And that will be taking up quite a bit of my time. And then I'll be working on my course for physicians. So how about you? What are you up to?
What am I up to? Well, I am hopefully starting my mental health first aid England Train the Trainer course, which
good.
Then enable me to train people to be mental health first aiders rather than medical first aiders.
And that they are advising that every large company has one of those
that has a mental health first aider, as well as the legal requirement at the moment for a medical first aider.
How big a business enterprise does it have to be required under the law?
I'm not sure. I think it's something like more than 10 staff that you've got to have.
10? That's a pretty low number.
A registered medical first aid. Yeah. You've got to have done the course. Yeah, I mean, there's quite a lot of things like that. I mean, it's like over here now, even the tiniest little cafe has got to have somebody who's got the basic food handling hygiene certificate, which is all, it's all health related. We don't want to eat dirty food, do we? I would prefer it's quite a low number. I mean, I can look it up and stick it in the show notes. I think it's quite a low number, but there was that bill put through in front of Parliament a couple of weeks ago, where making it law that every place has a mental health first aider as well, every place above a certain size. But at the moment, most companies most big companies are certainly getting mental health first aiders in anyway, because they're seeing the value of it, of somebody recognizing.
Do most of the big companies
who may be having trouble?
Do most of the big companies have wellness programs within their structure, or can they refer to?
Yeah, a lot of them seem to be doing it more and more, but you've got a lot of the sort of apps and makers of apps trying to get in there with these companies, so people can self-monitor and input. Now, how that data is or would be used, I don't know. But I know there's a lot of monitoring apps and one thing and another. But I'm good old personal service. Good old-fashioned personal service.
And writing articles so more people are aware of the importance of mental health. Right,
well, we've reached the end of another episode, Denise.
I know. Only one more for us, 2 more people, and we'll be done for the season.
No, 2 more for us after this one. There's this is episode 7. Then we've got 9 and 11 of us, and then next week's episode is Josephine Blackburn. Right, okay, I'm off. Everybody who's listening or watching, have a great week. Thanks for joining us yet again.
And Denise, please make a few comments so we know whether you want to hear us babbling on and forgetting people's names, because we're having fun, but we don't want to waste your time. Okay. Bye, guys.
Next week.
We hope you've enjoyed listening. Please remember, this podcast is designed to give you an insight into therapeutic hypnosis and is for educational purposes only. So remember, consult with your own healthcare professional if you think something you've heard may apply to you or a loved one.
If you found this episode useful, you can apply for free continuing professional development or CME credits using the link provided in the show notes. Feel free to contact either of us through the links in the show notes. Join us again next week.